Welcome to Class 8, your final class of Beginning Guitar 101. Congratulations are in order for making it this far. Obviously, you are playing the guitar by now, and you're hungry for your last bits of information. Well, before we get to that, let's offer ourselves to the Lord in prayer, and then we'll move on forward. Father, thank you so much for the success that you have brought about in these students in these weeks and these months that they have been playing the guitar. Thank you so much that many of them have made great progress and have seen you work in them. And I know that in many of them you've begun to stir in their hearts and speak to them about where you will take them and what you will do with them in the future. I know you've begun to resonate that word musicianary in the hearts and minds of many of the students. And I pray that many of them will be seeing and thinking of themselves in just that way, as people who now have a tool of music in their hands that they can use to make you known, in places where maybe people's hearts and minds are closed to you, places where countries are closed to the gospel itself getting in or Bibles coming in, places where it's just a closed and hard spot, but people will be open to music. Oh, Father, take us and use our music, and use us today as we take this final step, this little bit, this final step toward being completely equipped to do your work. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Well, let's warm up as usual. E minor, contemporary strum pattern. 1, 2, ready, and play. A minor. E minor. E. E minor. E. E7. A. E7, A, D, A, E7, A, A7, D, G, D, A7, D, D7, G, C, G, D7, G, G7, C, G7, C, A minor, E minor, B minor, D, B minor, D, B minor, A, B minor, A, B minor, G, B minor, G, B minor, G, and stop. Wow, it's amazing to think that you know all of those chords. Well, before we go on to learn our final two chords, let's look at page 8.1 and let's fill in the information on the chord family quiz table at the top of the page. Pause this video, fill in the missing information. Some of it you'll have to extrapolate from the information that's given to you on each line. Then unpause the video and I'll tell you what the answer should be in the box. Okay, the answers, if we look at the first line, the key of A, the 1, 4, and 5, 7 chords are A, D, and E7. Remember, Adam ditched Eve, the key of A. The second line, we have the D7, which we know is the 5-7 in the key of G. And so the three chords would be G for the 1 chord, C for the 4 chord, D7 for the 5-7 chord, key of G. And remember, God can't die. That's a way to remember that in the key of G. The next one's simple because we're given the key of C. Cain failed God, C, F, and G7. Next line, A is the 4 chord. That means the 1 chord would be E, and the key would be E. And Elijah ate bread, B7, is your 5-7 chord in the key of E. And the final line, the 1 chord is a D. That means the key is also D. D is 1, G is 4, A7 is 5. D, G, A. Daniel got arrested. Now the next 5 questions, let's do those together and see if you can call out the answers as we go. What chord does B7 want to resolve to? Okay, this 5-7 chord always wants to resolve back to the 1 chord in that key, so that would be E. B7 wants to resolve to E. In the key of C, the 5-7 chord is G7. Remember that change? C to G7, the double shift. Number 3, if D is the 1 chord, then the 4 chord is G. Key of D, Daniel got arrested. D is 1, G is 4. What chord does the 5-7 in any key want to resolve back to? What number? 1. The 5-7 always wants to resolve back to the 1 chord, no matter what the key. And finally, A is the 1 chord in the key of A, and the 4 chord in the key of E. So A does double duty as the 1 chord in A, as the 4 chord in the key of E. Now, if you got those answers or that all makes sense to you, the good news is that you have a good grip now on chord families and a good grip on the 5 guitar keys. That's great. We're going to continue to build on that in the next classes as we add some related chords, some minor 7s, some distant cousins, and we tie in all of these chords to see how they function together to make music work. You're already well on your way to understanding how music works. Let's look at 2 final chords that we haven't learned yet, one a minor and one a 7. The D minor chord. Look at your chord chart there and just see if you can spell that out. It's a 4-string chord, just like all the D chords. Okay, now let's switch to D. Keeping finger 3 as a pivot, move 1 and 2 around and play a D. Major chord. Play it in the minor form, D minor. Major and minor. Major and minor. And major. D minor. D major, D minor, D, D minor, D. Good. Now let's look at the final 7 chord, B7. We've talked about this one several times, but you're just now learning how to play it. It is the 5/7 chord in the key of E, correct? B7 looks harder than it is. Go ahead and put your fingers down where the diagram tells you to. Leaving out string 6, we're making a triangle with 1, 2, and 3, and skipping string 2 and dropping your 4th finger down in the 2nd fret, 1st string. Play that. Nice rich 7 chord. Now B7 is frequently going to be associated with the other 2 members of its chord family, with the chord A and with the chord E in the E chord family. So let's see if there's not a way we can shift quickly and easily from a B7 to those 2 chords. Is there anything in common between B7 and E? Finger those 2 chords and see if you see a finger in common or a shift that could take place. Well, the 2nd finger is a pivot finger. When choosing E to B7, the 2nd finger is a pivot. And actually finger 3 shifts over in the same fret. So you've got a small shift and you've got a pivot finger to make that change around. Let's finger that change together. E, keep finger 2 down, B7. Go back to E, finger 2 down, B7. E, B7. E, B7. E, B7. Strum that. E, B7, and E, B7, and E, B7, and E, B7, and E. Now the E chord family going from E to A, what kind of change is that? From E to A. It's a shift change with fingers 2 and 3 shifting over. E to A. So we'd shift over to that. And then we would typically change from the 4 chord A to the 5/7 chord B7. So finger those changes and tell me what those 2 chords have in common between A and B7. Do you see anything? Finger 3 stays in the same place. So we make finger 3 our pivot finger between A and B7. Finger that change. A, keep 3 down, B7. Keep 3 down, A, keeping it down, B7. Back to A, B7. Back to A, B7. A, B7. A couple more. A, B7, A, B7, A, B7. Very good. Now you have the E chord family, and you can play all 3 chords in that. If you turn to your practice chart, you'll see that your song this week uses the E chord family, and you can use that along with the contemporary strum pattern to learn how to play a full song using E, A, and B7. Pull out your song CD and your beginning songbook, and now congratulations, every song in your beginning songbook is one that you can play. Now, if you've noticed, that beginning songbook is a small size, and that size is perfect for putting in your guitar case. I hope you'll throw it in the guitar case and that you'll pull it out and it'll be one of your best friends as you pull out songs or you hand it out to people and ask them what they'd like to sing. That's just a great songbook for you to have handy at all times. And if you need any more of those, go to guitarmasters.net and we'll be glad to sell you those individually. You might want to buy a set of those as songbooks for, say, your home Bible study or care group, or perhaps a youth group, or for some other ministry use. We'd be glad to get you a set of those that you could use in a small group setting as you play out of your beginning songbook. There should be about 50 songs in there, and that's a really good number of songs for you to be able to play at this stage. Keep going back through that songbook and working with the songs that are in there, and I'm sure that you're going to enjoy them and learn many more than even what we've studied in this class. Now this week you'll want to practice making that B minor chord again, especially changing from D, A, and G back and forth to the B minor. Practice those changes. You'll also want to practice making a clear D minor chord and a clear B7 chord, and changing with your pivot fingers from B7 to A and B7 to E. Just like last week, our chord drill is an audio chord drill using tracks 34 through 39 on the chord CD. And there is no printed information for that because now you're beginning to play by ear, listening and imitating what you're hearing. Do that as you listen to tracks 34 through 39. And remember to practice at least 20 minutes, keeping your guitar handy. Well, that's about all the information we have in terms of new information for Beginning Guitar 101. You are now the proud owner of all the open guitar chords. That is the chords where you have an open string with your guitar chords. There's two directions you can go from here. One direction is you can learn more, and we have two ways you can learn more. Two classes for the intermediate student. That's the person who's completed the beginning level. Intermediate 201 is designed to teach you the modern worship sounds, modern worship chords in the E key and also in the G key. We also use a lot of modern worship strum patterns and modern worship songs. Now, when I say modern worship, what I mean is the most current music that we are singing in our churches and in our lands today. A lot of this music has come from sources such as Passion or Dave Crowder Band or Matt Redman from England, come from the college campus and college ministries and camping ministries. A lot of these songs are in our churches today and have some of the freshest cutting-edge sounds. Well, those you will find in Intermediate 201, along with the skills that build on what you've learned in 101 to help you play those chords and those strum patterns. You also might want to choose Intermediate 202. That's an approach that's more of a folk styling approach, similar to the kind of music that we hear from someone like James Taylor or Paul Simon. That's using chords and finger picking, walking bass notes up and down, putting embellishments like pull-offs and hammer downs, suspensions, other forms of chords, other slight flavors and variations of majors, minors, and sevens. All of it designed to make a sweeter sound that is more of an acoustic folk sound. And if you like that sound, you might want to choose to go to Intermediate 202 as your next course. I hope that you'll choose to get both of them and be very well-rounded. And that is what we offer you as far as a course. They'll be structured just like this course with video, with songs and chord drills on CDs, and with printed materials you can use. Now that's the first thing you might want to do, is get better yourself. The second thing you might consider doing is what I challenged you to consider in prayer last week, and that is reproducing yourself. You've become a guitar player now, and you are taking steps toward becoming one of those musicianaries who will carry God's glory to the ends of the earth through this guitar and the music you make. Why not reproduce yourself in people who would like to begin playing the guitar? I bet if you stop and think about it, you can think of a handful of people who've said something to you like, wow, I wish I could learn to play guitar. As a matter of fact, I have one and I just don't play it. Maybe there are people who've asked, could I borrow your set of DVDs? Could I borrow your materials? Well, you've written all over yours and you don't want to loan them out necessarily, but here's an idea. What if you started a class and you allowed me to be the teacher of the class, the instructor, using these DVDs that you have in your hands? Your friends and family members could get their own student packs to include their own CDs and their own printed materials, and then together you all could go through this class. I could be the instructor and you could be the assistant or the coach, the person who would answer questions, who would correct bad hand position, the person who would just give the live and personal touch and sort of be a facilitator for the class. You wouldn't necessarily have to teach, you just have to organize and facilitate that class. You could start a guitar program exactly where you are, in your church, in your home, in your community, and spread God's glory. Consider that. And if you'd like to be trained further to be an instructor, we've got materials to help you do that as well, if you'd rather be the one doing the instruction. Well, I hope any way that you decide to, you will continue with the guitar and you will continue walking with the Lord and with His purposes for you. Let's look at one last bit out of His Word, Hebrews 12, 1 through 3. A great encouragement for us to move forward and to persevere just like Jesus Christ did. Since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Let us fix our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before Him endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider Him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. I do hope you will run the race with perseverance, the race that He has set out in front of you, taking each step according to how He has planned, keeping your eyes fixed on Him alone, and in obedience, running toward the cross. He has been our author and our model and the one who has done it first, and we can do that as well. Well, if there's any way we can help you, please feel free to contact us. I'd love it if you'd send me an email and let me know that you finished this class. Just send it to todd@guitarmasters.net, and I'll get that as your instructor. Let me have a picture if you've taken a digital picture of our class, and I may send you a picture or two back. We've taken some pictures even of producing this video. I'd send you something back if you'll send me a picture of your class. We'd love to include that maybe in a newsletter or on our website to encourage other people as well. And so we'd love to stay in contact with you. Let's do that. And wherever God takes you, I pray that you will be just what He designed for you to be, and that you'll be a musicianary, one who truly takes the gospel into closed countries, cultures, and hearts through using music that you make on your guitar. God bless.